Welcome to State and Fig, located in historic La Arcada Plaza in downtown Santa Barbara.
Our menu focuses on products that are raised in the state of California, inspired by the flavors of the Riviera.
And we are proud to be sponsoring this program.
Hello, I'm Twyla Kim. I've been an artist and hairstylist in Santa Barbara for 20 years. I personalize color, design, and precision haircuts for each individual at Sequel Salon in Montecito. I'm happy to be sponsoring Get Conscious Now.
I'm attorney Gregory Lowe. I will prepare your trust, bankruptcy, divorce, conservatorship, probate, evictions. All of this I can do at an affordable price and with caring. Thank you very much.
When I was growing up as a kid, I used to go around with him and watch him.
My mother and I both worked at Lowry Field.
To keep on doing this together.
Hello, I'm Patricia Diorio, and this is Get Conscious Now, the television show that informs, inspires, and reminds us to remember that we are conscious beings, spiritual beings, having a human experience, and that we have this amazing, innate, immeasurable power to create our reality, which we're doing all the time. Quantum physics tells us that our thoughts are impacting the field, and our emotions are helping to move those thoughts into the field. So when we can be deliberate creators of our reality, the result is that we're creating fabulous lives. But when we are not, when we are essentially held victims of our own thinking, of our own negative thinking, and that is the slippery slope to thinking that we're a victim of circumstances. So this show is about helping us shift our own personal paradigm to becoming deliberate creators of our reality and creating lives that are a reflection of our greatest heart's desires and our most focused intentions. If you'd like to catch our earlier shows, I invite you to our YouTube channel called Get Conscious Now, youtube.com, Get Conscious Now. And now, one of my favorite parts of the show is to introduce my co-host, Mr. Stu Zimmerman, who drives all the way down here from Napa to play with us. And I like to describe him as witty and fun and handsome and a wonderful balance for me. So Stu, welcome to Get Conscious Now, and I'm sure you have some great words of welcome to our viewers.
Thank you, Patricia.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. And if it's your first time on our program as a guest in the audience, because here's the deal. Even if you're behind the screen, you're still part of this field that we are intentionally, as Patricia mentioned, creating. Okay, so I'm inviting you, as we just did before the program began off camera, to really help to set a field. So I'm inviting you to simply take a breath right now. Take a nice deep one. And you know what's amazing is we are all breathing the same ultimate air supply that's on this planet. So we are interconnected, kind of whether we like it or not. So let's make the most of it. Let's enjoy it. And so, yeah, we're going to have a great program today, as we typically do. And later in the program, after our fantastic guest is on, who Patricia will introduce in a moment, we're going to have another fabulous, riveting edition of Stu's Views, and another quantum quote by Patricia that will send us all into a new level of awareness. So thank you so much for joining us. Also, I'll have one brief announcement to make, and that is we are now actually in partnership and being sponsored by Share the Wealth Foundation, which is a 501c3 educational foundation. In fact, their tagline pretty much says it all. Wealth is a rainbow. No, pardon me, it doesn't say it all because I said it wrong. Yeah, yes, pardon me, I'll do it again. Wealth is a rainbow. Money is a color. And so this program, in many ways, is a representation of that, bringing out the kind of wealth that's within us all. So with that, Patricia, why don't you take it away?
Well, thank you for setting such a beautiful stage here, Stu.
Yeah.
So today's show is about beauty. When you think of beauty, I mean, when you hear the word beauty, what do you think of? Do you think of nature in all its grandeur, a sunset, a flower, the ocean on a pristine sunny day? When you hear beauty, do you think of art in all its myriad expressions and forms? I would say that probably the majority of us, when we hear the word beauty, think of a fashion magazine cover with beautiful men and women on it that the entertainment industry refers to as the beautiful people. Well, today we're going to look at beauty in a whole new way, through new eyes, and that is what I call conscious beauty, and our guest would call fearless beauty. Our guest today is Kenetia Lee, who is a premier makeup artist and author of a wonderful new book called Fearless Beauty 360, The Complete Guide to Self-Acceptance and Empowerment. And Kenetia is, as a premier makeup artist, is highly respected in the industry, an author, as I mentioned, and a coach and a speaker. And she is passionately and in a very committed way living her life purpose in encouraging women to live life boldly and beautifully, to accept themselves fully, and to embrace their beauty fearlessly. So I'm really delighted to welcome Kenetia Lee to the Get Conscious Now today. Hi, darling.
Hi,
so
thank
good
you
to
for
see
having
you.
me.
Welcome.
Hi,
I'm
Stu.
so
Hi,
glad.
Kenetia.
So glad that you're here.
Thanks. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a very important topic.
Absolutely. Beauty. We all deal with it every day, right?
That's right.
That's right. So let's, I'll keep my sleeves unrolled, but we'll get right into it. You rolled
Okay,
up your
good.
sleeves for the occasion, so
Yes.
that's good. Okay, share with us first your background in terms of growing up in Chicago and how that led to your coming into the beauty industry and getting a beautician to the stars.
Absolutely. So my start in beauty happened to be with my mom. My mom started out doing Mary Kay when I was 9, and her becoming a consultant really was intriguing to me. I had no idea about the whole beauty industry, cosmetics, any of that. And when she got her products and started with her pink cases, I was so fascinated. Like, what is this all about? And really, what struck a chord with me more than the makeup, even though I liked to play with it and all the colors, was how she was able to connect with all the women. And some of the women, when we would go in, were very smug or down or not very accepting of their appearance. And then by the time she was finished, they were all laughing and smiling and excited about life. And I was thinking, what is with these products? What is she doing? Like, how is this able to transform these women? And so that kind of led me in my subconscious to really try and figure out what is this thing called beauty. Having those interactions and being able to witness women around a table really playing and feeling makeup, and then having this experience of feeling uplifted. Once I moved away from home, I started in women's health. I worked for a women's workout wellness center, and that also gave me another sense of a different type of empowerment for women. Really like, oh, women can feel empowered around their physical bodies, and that energy that emanated, and they felt uplifted by the whole thing. And later, once I got out here to California, I was married at the time and confused about what I really wanted to do in the world, and I was selling cars of all things, and very depressed really about everything, just not happy in my marriage, not happy about selling cars, and I quit my job and was like, what am I going to do next? And I really dug deep, and I was like, oh, I think it's beauty. I think beauty has been calling me all these years, and I've just been kind of pushing it away, so to speak. And when I got back to the root of like, oh yeah, this is what I'm here for, my life kind of just fell apart. Which
so it could come back together on a higher level.
Exactly. It fell apart. My marriage fell apart. My work as a makeup artist fell apart. My health was failing. All of that, and I was really asking the questions that I think a lot of us ask ourselves: is why are we here? What is this for? What am I really here to do? And that sparked everything. You know, I went from being separated, I went to the emergency, took myself to the emergency room because I wasn't feeling well, to coming out from the emergency room, bawling in my studio apartment, and then walking into the only source of income that I had, which was a job at one of the very top cosmetic companies, and being fired 10 minutes later. And thinking when I left there, I'm like, okay, I've pretty much lost everything. What is this really about? And I really, in the silence, in the quietness, I sought out, actually it was a retreat of all things. And that kind of sparked my interest into finding out what's a deeper level of this thing called beauty. Why are we all seeking it? Why does it matter so much to all of us?
Okay, well, let's get right into your book, Fearless Beauty
Great.
360. So how did that all come about? I mean, kind of close the gap between where you were when you were asking those questions to being one of today's leading authorities on beauty empowerment. I mean, that's quite a leap.
Yeah, it was quite a leap. And it all started with being fired. It started with being fired, you know, and asking those questions. And once I really got down to it, I was like, oh, you know, what am I going to create with this makeup thing? Is it about just putting makeup on people, or is there something more that I could add to people's lives around beauty? And so the retreat that I went to was actually the Chopra Center, where I learned to meditate and I learned to be mindful of what I was eating and you know, doing yoga and laugh meditation. There were so many different modalities of just getting centered again. And I left there looking in the mirror and knowing that I was beautiful. Where, you know, before I was digging around trying to search for the next makeup or clothing or heels or what have you to make me feel good about myself. And I didn't need any of those things. I knew for certain that it was within me, and my purpose was to actually spread it. And so, you know, shortly thereafter, you know, I had no job, I had nothing, I had no like huge savings going on. I kept my practice up though. I kept the mindfulness from what I took away from the retreat, and I kept applying it to my life. And from that point on, things started to change. I started to receive calls from people to do other gigs other than just free work, which a lot of artists do. And one of the calls that I got was to do a tour for Revlon Cosmetics. And that's really what sparked this book right here, is being in the faces of women from all over the country. We had a 25-city tour. And on that 25-city tour, I was so dismayed by all of the women who were upset about their image and their looks, and
So
can you fix me?
What keeps women, let's talk about women for a moment, what keeps women from, you know, embracing their inherent beauty or feeling negative about themselves?
Yeah, so I identified 3 of them in my book. I think they're actually the things that actually keep us separate from our own beauty. The first is a sense of keeping our whole well-being, like taking care of our whole well-being, not just our physical bodies, but also our emotional and our spiritual well-being. The other is an ability to forgive, which I believe creates a sense of compassion, not just for others, but for ourselves as well. And then the other thing is harsh comparisons. You know, we compare more than anything ourselves with not only other people, but ourselves as where we were, where we want to be, who we aren't, what we're. So the sense of comparing ourselves really does diminish who we are right now in the present moment. And I talk about those things explicitly in my book, like how those 3 things separate us from actually looking in the mirror and saying, hey, you're all right. You're actually pretty good looking.
So, so your book was not, you know, a how-to book on beauty tips. It was really how to really embrace your beauty from the inside out.
Yeah, I'm good at putting on makeup and showing women how to make themselves look beautiful. That's easy. I think the tough part is really getting inside and getting deep and talking about our fears or, you know, our ability to actually be okay with what we are and what we aren't.
It's all about the self-perception. You have these beautiful women that you were putting makeup on, and they were criticizing themselves about this, that, or the other thing, and wondering if you could help fix that for them. I mean, it's really a sad state of affairs when you have beautiful young women that are, you know, in that state, or any one of us really, because it really is all about embracing our inner beauty, isn't it?
Yes.
And our self-perception.
Yes.
Which ultimately is loving life a bit.
Loving life.
The more we're loving life, the more it shows through our eyes, right? We have a greater tendency to smile.
Yeah.
And all of that helps to, you know, light up the canvas.
Yeah. The truth is, we're only in these bodies for a short amount of time. You might as well get some joy out of it. Like,
hey, I think we're here.
Let's get practical here, right? The clock is ticking, people.
I think this is a recreational realm. We're here to have a good time. So let's talk about the media. You know, I know that you're not into the blame game as far as blaming any structure or organization, but the media certainly doesn't help this conversation. You know, given all the lotions and potions and surgeries that are done, a friend of mine before the show was telling me that I think in the cosmetic industry, it's at an $84 billion mark now, and it's expected to go up to $114 billion. You know, I suppose it's interesting to be in, an industry to be in if you want to make some money. But it's sad, you know, it's sad that there's this sense of not feeling adequate, you know, of judging ourselves and comparing ourselves, as you explained, instead of really seeing the magnificence that we are, and know that when we embrace that, it's reflected in our demeanor, it's reflected in how we show up in our appearance. So give us your opinion of the media and, you know, all the magazines and all of that.
well, first of all, I want to say that you two are doing a great job of uplifting the conversation in the media around beauty and around consciousness all around. And I think that as we as human beings evolve, the media as well as the people who are putting products on the market will start to reflect this consciousness. Because right now, as it stands, how the media and products and the beauty industry see a way to sell their products is through fear. And that fear is inherently telling us, you know, you aren't good enough, and to be good enough, you need this to do that. And so, yes, they feed into our already inherent fear of being known, of being seen, of being incredibly miraculous and beautiful. We all have something in our childhood or our upbringing that tells us like otherwise. You know, whether
not
it's
enough of something.
Not enough.
You're not good enough. You're not good looking enough.
Exactly.
You're not smart enough.
You don't deserve.
You don't deserve it.
Right.
You know, whether it's from your parents or it came from the kids at school or your teachers or what have you. You know, the truth is that first level of fear was derived from some experience we had. It didn't come from the media. The media is literally playing into that. They know that fear is there. And so, and the products and the manufacturers are all relying on us not wanting to let go of that fear and feeding into that.
It's their business.
It's their business,
to keep them in fear and keep them buying the stuff.
Keep them buying, keep consuming. And really, we can up-level that and have it be that, you know what, I actually want to have fun and play with this thing called beauty, my body.
In my body.
Yeah, I want to have fun here. And why not play and dress up and wear lipstick or mascara or wigs or, you know, dye
or shave your head.
Or shave your head.
So why did you shave your head?
Why? Oh, that's a great question.
That's a great story.
Right?
I don't know. It's a little obvious here. You know, the elephant in the room. Or...
Well, thank you for asking. I think right around the time when I was going through all of the turmoil in my life, I actually took on forgiving my father. For 15 years of my life, I lived with my dad. I grew up with him, everything. And I had this like relationship. I just could not, I didn't like who he stood for or what he stood for. And I decided to forgive him. And in that process of forgiving him, literally that week, I went to my beautician and I was like, you know what? I feel light. I feel free. I felt like I had so much courage and freedom, something that I didn't have before. And I asked her, I said, will you just shave it off? Because I had hair, believe it or not. I had hair, and I just said, shave it off. And she did, and I turned around in that mirror and actually felt good. I felt free. I felt liberated. Like, oh, like I don't need the, like the tension that I had with my dad, and I didn't need all of the weight that my hair was representing. And so once I did that, I've never gone back. It's been about 15 years now.
15 years.
15
That's a
years.
courageous act for a woman to do.
Yeah.
It's a courageous act for anyone to do.
Let's see how much courage you have, Patricia. Not that much. I didn't think so.
No, I don't think so. You both have the shapes of your heads are very good.
You don't really know what the shape of your head
I
is.
can feel it though. I definitely wouldn't look good bald.
Oh, listen up. I heinous crime. Please forgive me. Okay. Yeah, I mean, in my case, it wasn't a matter of feeling it heavy. It was actually feeling a little thin, if you know what I mean. And I started doing a little bit of this Donald Trump comb-over thing. And God bless it, I've made too many jokes about him, and ranking on him to say, I just can't do this. I need to be a person of integrity. So I shaved the head off, and now I like to think that allows for the light to come in.
Yes. Yes.
Unfiltered.
Unfiltered, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I love to play with hair. I wear wigs all the time. Why
You do?
not? Absolutely.
I've never seen you with a wig.
Yeah, no.
Surprise me sometime.
We haven't gone out to the clubs yet together. No.
Oh. Take your consciousness to a new level.
That's
exactly.
right.
No doubt.
Exactly.
So far, it's been this conversation about women
Yes.
and their relationship to their own beauty. Let's talk about guys for a moment.
Yes.
Are we exempt somehow from this conversation due to our handsomely rugged brute nature?
Not at all. And you know something, what's really fascinating, since I've written this book, I've gotten more comments from men saying, you know what, this conversation is not just about women. It really is about men too. Men now, more than ever, are being sexualized in the media as well. I mean, the 8-packs and the buff arms.
I thought it was a 6-pack. Now it's an 8-pack?
It's an 8-pack. You have to
You
keep
get two
up
extra.
here. Yeah, two extra. No, but really, it's in the fabric of our society as a whole. And really, my book talks about self-acceptance and empowerment. How do men also get empowered around their image if they aren't 6'3" and strapping with muscles and driving a Bentley or whatever the perceived imagination of success and beauty is for men, or how do they do that? And I say in my book, it really is getting to what you feel in your heart of hearts is why this body is here. What is it that you are looking to accomplish with this physicalness that you have here on the planet? And I think once you get to that answer of why, all the other things kind of fall into place and don't matter as much. They don't have such a pull on you. So no, it does not. It's not just a conversation with women. It is one of men and women. And I decided to focus on women because that's where my career started, was with women.
Well, and I think that probably more women are concerned with this conversation around beauty and themselves and appearance than men. And I may be wrong on that. I don't know what the stats are, but it seems to be more of a women's issue of not feeling good enough or pretty enough or whatever when they look in the mirror. So it's really the media and our programming from our childhood and our own mirrors, looking in our own mirrors. That really affect us. So it's very powerful work.
Yeah.
So in your book, it's a very fun book. I enjoyed it, and all the exercises are wonderful, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But you refer to women as types of women as delusional divas, right? Delusional divas. So give us how many are there in?
Well, there's beauty characters. I call them beauty
characters.
characters, and there's 7 beauty characters
That make up the delusional diva.
Absolutely. And so
give us a quick rundown.
Yeah, so there's 7 of them. I won't go through all of them, but just to give you an idea.
Okay.
Me, growing up, I was a beauty evader. So I would basically dress for form, not fashion. I did not, I didn't want to be revealing. I never, ever wore makeup. It just wasn't going to happen. If I were on sports, I would be wearing, stuff for sports. If I needed to, wear suits. I would wear suits for work. It was very form, nothing outside. I wasn't into fashion or anything like that.
You were pretty much in the norm then.
Yeah, I would evade like that whole fashion thing, like, oof, what's going on there? Not interested.
That was definitely not me.
Yeah. Then we have.
What would be Patricia? I want to know.
So I mean,
You would want to know.
We all want to know. They're watching for a reason, Patricia.
We have beauty aficionados, and then we have beauty like so sorry, aficionado. I would say Patricia would be an aficionado. She really loves the aesthetics. She really thrives and wants to put her best foot forward. She loves to receive, people's admiration for the effort that she puts into everything in her life, right? Whether it's her home, whether it's
her hair that I messed up.
Exactly.
Mess up my hair.
It's working. It's working, sweetheart. We're going to have that inner beauty shine even more.
I don't worry about it. Not anymore.
So yeah, she would be an aficionado. So yeah, and then things around our childhood like really do drive our delusional diva to have us really act in ways that either to our own detriment, maybe, take us away from what makes us really happy in life. So even though she can appreciate, beauty and looking good and feeling good about, she does it from a place of like, is this enough? Maybe, what are they thinking of me? Is this going to be okay? Me, I was trying to hide completely. Like, do not look at me. Don't show me any attention. I do not want to be known for being, beautiful. I want to be known for being smart and that I could do things in life. And so if you looked at my appearance and not my, accomplishments, I would feel demeaned as opposed to feeling appreciated and worthy of those compliments. So that, there's different things, different characters in the book, and it's great to figure out which one really drives you in the decisions that you make in your relationships or your career and things like that, so that maybe at that point, once you have an awareness, you can make different choices.
When you spoke beauty aficionado, I can relate to that. My parents were both in the beauty industry. In fact, my whole family on both sides were in the beauty industry. They were hairstylists. And I can remember as a little girl going into my dad's beauty shop and seeing all this makeup in this case, and I was always very fascinated by it. But I was a girly girl, I was into polish, doing with the nail polish and the lipsticks and stuff. So I guess I've always been a fan of beauty and was born to the right parents, right? But the downside of that is they were always chasing after me to look a certain way. Yeah, because I was representing their business. So I couldn't look like a ragamuffin, one of my mother's words. I had to, I had to look like this perfect little kid. And unfortunately that has stuck and it hasn't really served me, in really just relaxing into my own natural beauty and let it come forth. But I think through my spiritual life that is shifting. So,
and what I talk about in the book as well is like context. So you have that as a context, like that was your context then.
Right.
But now, what is it that is going to serve you? What's your context now for beauty? Is it to emanate, your spiritual work? Which, great. If that's the case, then let's go for it. Let's put it on. Let's do that.
Well, I would say it's more than emanating the spiritual work. It's really allowing the divinity within me, the light within me, to shine forth into the world. And that, I think that we don't have to have beautiful countenances that are pretty much how society defines beauty. We don't have to be the beautiful people, but when we come into alignment with our inner beauty, which I know is what your work is about, is really owning our power as spirit beings in physical form and allowing that beauty to shine forth, and then we're beautiful no matter what we look like in the world. Yeah.
Correct.
So,
But our physical looks actually begin to change a little bit.
Absolutely.
To reflect how we feel on the inside, right? So the more we're kind of just feeling happy, we could call it consciousness, we could call it doing the spiritual work. On some measure, it could just simply be enough to say, you know what, thank you that I exist. You talked about having this meat suit for a limited time only, right?
Yes.
So it's like, thank you so much, and just let that be enough to go out and look at each day through those eyes.
I agree.
You know, you also mentioned in your book that things have changed, and that in some ways, 50 years ago, many women, more women actually may have felt a greater sense of self-esteem than they do now, which in some level is counterintuitive, I would think, given all the advancements and pay raises.
I know. So what's real was like now, 50 years ago, women weren't making as much money. They weren't in politics as much. They weren't as financially well off as we are right now. And the truth is, we did not have all these different elements bombarding us, telling us about how inefficient and how we don't measure up as much 50 years ago. Don't get me wrong, beauty was definitely in the fiber of our society. That is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it wasn't so in your face that it is right now. Like, it is definitely in your face right now. And so the women back then had a little more self-esteem to go on because they more were in this bubble of their radius of where they stayed. Not many women traveled.
I'm wondering if the sexual revolution may have had something to the beauty industry that took it to a whole new consciousness, if you want to call it
Absolutely.
that brought out that whole opening of, everybody now needs to feel and look sexy.
Yes.
As their beauty, which probably took them into several more billion of revenues.
Absolutely.
Well, women in their 50s, in the 50s, like the 40s and 50s and 60s, the boomer generation, they were second-class citizens. They were.
Exactly.
The men ran the show, the men ran the homes. The women did in their own quiet way. They were very powerful. My mother was certainly very powerful, but it was a society where the men were the guys. They were the heads of corporations and businesses, and the women were just beginning to get out and work in the work world.
Exactly.
But their role was pretty much to be home, raising the children, and like that. So today it's a whole different conversation. You've got women that are CEOs of companies and billionaires. Look at Oprah. So I would think that kind of goes with the territory because women are exposing themselves a lot more and opening up to more criticism as well as praise and gratitude. But I don't know whether it was a show I was seeing or something I was reading, but I think it was President Obama when he was doing his State of the Union. I think it was in the State of the Union where he said that today women are still making like 35% less than men for the same position. That has got to change,
It does.
So the just like in discrimination and racism, it's subtle today. It's not blatant like it was, in the 50s and 60s. So I think we are an evolving species and we are getting better.
We are.
And I think perhaps this whole beauty conversation of us not really embracing our appreciation is a part of that. We're moving toward embracing ourselves as we understand who we are.
We are. Yeah. And it all starts with, being conscious of our conversation that we have with ourselves more than anything. And that's why I refuse to, in my book especially, to make blame as it's not acceptable to blame the media. Because at this point in our evolution, we really do need to be responsible for how we are.
Be with it.
Yeah, and the truth is, there's things that we can do. I have mentioned in my book around a beauty ritual. There's things that we can do that can protect ourselves from the messages that we receive from the media, from comparing ourselves to others, from, there are things that we actually can do on a daily basis that will have us build our esteem to a place where we are not conflicted as, when we see a commercial that says, you have to have this bra because, if you have this bra, you're going to get this man. You'll get, okay, that's a bra, and if I want to have this type of effect with my breast, then I'll go get that bra. It's not that I'm going to have this man after I get this bra. It's, the conflicting messages. So there's things in my book that I put together, which I call beauty rituals, that will allow you to really own your own thoughts and not point the finger at who did what to you about that, and take responsibility. And then from there, you know, hey, let's play this game. Let's play the game.
I was really impressed with how you've integrated your own spiritual practice, your spiritual life. I mean, you're doing your spiritual work by bringing this information out through your book. And just tell us a little bit about how that all came about, and how your own spiritual practice has impacted your work.
Great. So
Not just your book, just the writing of the book, but also your work, because you're still freelancing with the makeup, right?
Yes,
In the
I
midst
still
of
do
getting all your
makeup,
speaking gigs and
absolutely.
television shows and everything that you're getting to move yourself forward now.
Yes, my
Talk about your spiritual life.
Yeah, my spiritual life. I am a yogi.
Yogini.
A yogini at heart. I love yoga. You know, and I feel as though as I evolve as a human being, that's really like what roots me. Learning meditation and keeping meditation as a practice in my life actually is what has me ward off like what I feel negative energy, and center myself when I find that I'm going haywire and trying to keep up with all of the demands of life. But yeah, I bring the principles that I practice on a daily basis to everything that I'm doing. When it comes to makeup, when it comes to having a woman sit in my chair and having her being able to open up to me, I could call on the practice of breathing and having her to get conscious to what it is that she is actually saying to herself, and you know, having her look and see in her eyes like what is beautiful about her physical being, what's physically attractive about her, what does she hear that other people are saying to her that makes her feel good about herself. That is what I feel really lifts me up when I'm doing makeup for other people, and what I think you mean by bringing my spiritual work to my work. And also in my speaking engagements, you know, this past June, it was last year June, I had a conference, it was called Confidently Beautiful, and it was for women who were in pageants, or young girls who were in pageants. And truth be told, we had girls from 12 years old to 46 that were there. And they were lit up and excited about the concept of not just physical beauty, but like what actually will have them appear beautiful despite anything that they put on their body. And that was really exciting. And to have them like make the conscious shift from like, oh yeah, it's just not what I look like. It's actually that energy that I bring to anything that I do is powerful. And they really got it on a soul level. And that, I feel like, yes, it's like that's what I'm looking to achieve here on the planet. Is like, you know what? I could be in a suit or I could be in a paper bag. My beauty is still there.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly. Well, you know, if we are indeed spirit beings in physical form, God beings, little g, I like to say, you know, then what's not magnificent and what's not beautiful and what's not brilliant and creative? Yeah. You know, but unfortunately, most of us in our unconscious state see the world through the eyes of the ego, mind personality that lives in that illusion of separation from spirit, not being one with spirit. So I think that's where the crux of the biscuit is.
Yeah, and then peeling back that onion a little further usually comes out with some form of either victimization, self-judgment, right? Self-loathing in one form or another, feeling separate or isolated.
Right.
And all of that, you know, contributes not only to them not being able to, you know, maybe shine as brilliantly and really have their own beauty shine, but it also makes it more difficult to perceive beauty. You know, so it takes two to have beauty in a way. Well, one is just, there needs to be an observer to observe the beauty, even if we're observing ourselves.
But we are that. We are that in one being. We are the observer and we are observing. So that
and the observed, we're everything.
And the observed. We are all of it.
Yes, we are.
Deepak, I'm listening to, listening for Deepak lately, and in the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, he says that, you know, how we're all made up of the same stuff, and that there is no difference. And he says that's why the sages in India say, all this is that. What is that statement?
You got it.
Oh gosh, I
All
can't
right.
recall it now. Okay,
It'll
you can't
come back.
save me, Stu?
I am going to
don't
save you
know.
because
Can't remember that?
I'll give you my version.
What's your version?
My version is we are all of that and we are full of that.
Okay.
Okay? So there's no place where it is not. So we do have a tendency to take ourselves really seriously. Right? God bless us.
He says
You
all
know?
this, all is that, all this is that, all that is that, and that's all there is.
Fair enough.
Anyway, a little aside there.
Who could argue with that?
No. Okay, so tell us about the beauty ritual that you've devised that you recommend that women do. What are the components of it?
So there's 3 parts, and there's the body movement, which it doesn't matter. If you choose yoga, if you choose walking, if you choose stretching, if you choose something that actually moves energy through your body.
Like Tai Chi?
Tai
or
Chi,
Qigong?
it could be Qigong, anything that moves energy through your body. Because the negativity, you know, if there is any unforgiveness or judgment or anything like that, it needs to move. It needs to move. It needs to move out of the body, and those are ways in which to do that. The other practice is meditation, being still and having time to be mindful. And I don't believe that it has to be in absolute stillness. You can meditate in your doing as well. And I think since women are very attached to their physical bodies, use the time that we get dressed to actually meditate. Use the time that we put on our lipstick and our mascara to meditate. And meditate, you could be in a contemplative meditation state where you're like contemplating about, oh yeah, I am beautiful. This is great. My lashes are wonderful. This is, you know, and you're really, it's a self-talk. It could be a self-talk, or
bringing
it could
consciousness to your action.
to your action.
Yes.
And then the last one is it is more or less journaling, but asking yourself specific questions throughout your month or what have you, so that you are moving through and moving in the direction that you would like to see yourself go in, and getting negativity outside of yourself. So being able to write down and then look at what you've written down, and then, you know, scribing, you know, this is what I see for myself. This is what this is where I'm looking to go. This is what I look to have and see about myself. And then reviewing all of those good things on a consistent basis. So basically some type of body movement, time to meditate, time to really remove yourself from the media and the messages and conflict with others or what have you, and then mindful journaling and writing out your thoughts, getting your voice, hearing your voice, seeing what it is that
You know, Thich Nhat Hanh, he's the Vietnamese monk that is famous for his incredible spiritual wisdom. He says that, you know, well, when we think of mindfulness, we think of sitting, you know, sitting quiet and just observing our breath and getting centered. And I think that's very important, and that's the kind of meditation that I like to do. But he said, you know, when you're washing a dish or eating a cookie, or, you know, like you said, you know.
Watching a TV show like Get Conscious Now, another example of how one can practice.
Well, it's
Feel
one
free.
could be mindful by
Yes.
watching our show.
Yes.
We remind them.
Take it all in.
But mindfulness is something that really needs to be integrated in all aspects of our lives, so that when we're doing, we're also being in the doing, and we're not just completely in that mindless state. And believe me, I've been there so much, because workaholism has kind of like been my, you know, my downfall over the years. But I'm learning to move past that now, because even when I'm in that state of feeling like I need to do more, you know, I can be present and simply step back and talk to myself, just like you were saying. You know, talk to yourself when you're looking in the mirror, because that's really when the temptation to judge comes in. You know, when we're observing ourselves. You know? So.
Yeah, so let's keep going. Let's keep talking about beauty here. I want to know more about,
What do you want to know more about, Stu?
Yeah, I want to know about putting these rituals into practice. Okay, do we need to start with an understanding as to why beauty is important to us in the first place? Or could we
Absolutely.
just head right into these rituals?
Well, you can head right into the rituals, absolutely.
Yes.
And the book actually takes you through the process of how to let go of something, finding out your why. Your why actually determines your, it fills your desire. Like it puts breath into your desire, your why.
So what's your why?
Is actually to up-level the conversation around beauty. That's my why. And it keeps me going. It keeps me, present to, why I want to get in front of people and speak, or be on a show when I'm nervous, or speak some truth when I see that someone is struggling and I'm not quite sure, like if I'm the person to be able to do that. You're just raising the level of consciousness around beauty is what really drives and motivates me. And that really does keep the attention off of me. I think a lot of times when we're so focused on just this body, this being, we lose sight of, what touching and being of service to other people. So the why in itself will drive you when really you don't want to do anything.
Well, I got to tell you,
Right?
the beauty of your response,
Yeah?
is that the beauty that you're talking about is not about yours,
Yeah.
or about it's all about all of ours in a way.
Yeah. The highest compliment that I think I got, it actually came this week from a guy that I went to coffee with a couple of weeks ago. And he called me up to say, you know what, I left our conversation feeling like I was actually beautiful and sexy. And I don't think that of myself. And I was like, I want you to know that that's what you did. Like that's who you are, that I felt that way. In the world. And so that to me is the highest compliment. And I get that, if for a moment I got out of my head and I was just who I am, others feel that about themselves. So I think that is the crux of my book. And self-confidence and self-acceptance and empowerment comes from being able to be the person that the person that you are for others, that you don't even know that that's who you are. You just show up that way.
Yeah, just by vibrating at a frequency of consciousness and knowing that we're spirit beings in physical form. When we know that, and can we be integrated with that, then we are doing our work just by vibrating at that frequency. We don't even have to open our mouths. So we're coming to the end of this segment of the interview, and we always like to hear from our guests regarding a pearl of wisdom. If you had a pearl of wisdom, something to kind of sum up your work and this interview today that you would like to give to our viewers, what would that be? And I believe your camera is right there, so you can look right into the eyes of the viewers there.
So my pearl of wisdom is beauty takes a lot, or looking good takes a lot of effort, whereas beauty is just a state of being. And that's a quote that I came up with. I think it was divinely downloaded on me. And it's true. What I do as a makeup artist, there's so much to do around making someone look good. But when someone feels it, there's nothing to do about it. It's all about being. Looking good takes a lot of effort, whereas beauty is simply a state of being.
Great. Thank you so much, Kenetia.
Thank you.
So I hope
Thanks for having me.
You're very, very welcome. It was wonderful to have you. Yeah. So now I'd like to introduce our illustrious co-host here, Mr. Stu Zimmerman, who's going to entertain you for the next 5 minutes with Stu's Views.
Okay, so here we go. This week's version of Stu's Views will stay on the beauty theme, okay? And I've been asked to entertain you. So when I think of beauty, I'm going to offer you up a little bit of a song written by a woman who is a king. In fact, her first name was Carole King, so maybe you recognize this song. You gotta wake up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart. People gonna treat you better. You're gonna find, yes you will, that you're beautiful as you feel. Yeah. Yeah, you're as beautiful as you feel. And can it really be that simple? And I was really inspired by the question of why is beauty important to me? And For me, it's about life, that there is something precious about this existence, that for all of its craziness, all of the things would have me pull my hair out, if in fact I decided not to shave it. And maybe that's the reason why. High five, kids, you know. Anyway, I digress. There is something so incredible about this entire meat suit package that we've been offered that has so many great gifts, whether it's taste or smell or the tingles that we get from time to time. You know, they're so beautiful. And we are here for a limited time. So why not make the most of it? And as I tap into that level of, whether you call it consciousness or just simply, you know, just calling it thank you, just simple gratitude and thank you that somehow I get to experience this life. That is something we all have in common. We're all here for a limited time only. And we've all been granted this amazing gift of the opportunity to experience things we cannot experience without these bodies. Even though ultimately we are not these bodies, which is actually even more incredible. In fact, I really used to I tried to teach my kids about consciousness, you know, and said, are you a finger? Are you a pinky, or do you have a pinky? And I'll tell you, my kids hated me for that. Dad, stop it, stop it. Who cares? Are you a pinky? Am I a pinky? You know, of course I'm not a pinky. I have a pinky. So I said, well, who's doing the having? Who is it that has this pinky but is not the pinky? Of course, they didn't want to hear any of that action, but it's a great question. Who is it, or what is it, that is really, literally, in this very moment, looking through your eyes and looking through mine? And what is exactly are we looking at here? And if we do consider, with the consciousness and the context, that we are here for a limited time only, and it is such an incredible blessing, simply to be alive, simply to wake up. There's beauty we could be perceiving all over the place, in every direction, sunrise, sunset, everything in between, and including what we see when we look in the mirror. So that's it for today's Stu's Views, and I hope it was thoroughly entertaining and hopefully a little bit touching too. Yeah. With that, we have the quantum quote of the day by none other than Patricia Diorio.
Thank you, Stu. I liked your Stu's Views today. I liked him. He's a pretty good singer.
How about that?
Yeah. So there's so many wonderful quotes that I researched on conscious beauty and inner beauty and all of that. But the quote that I found that I want to share tonight, I found in Kenetia's book. And it's a quote by a woman that was considered certainly a Hollywood icon of her day. And this was Audrey Hepburn. And the boomers, we boomers, will remember Audrey Hepburn probably from her most famous film, Breakfast at Tiffany's. And every single time I ever saw Audrey Hepburn, she was perfectly, impeccably coiffed and dressed and made up. So I was really rather surprised when I found this quote in Kenetia's book, and I'm going to share it with you right now. And this is what she says. The beauty of a woman must be seen from in her eyes, because that is the doorway to where love resides. I'll say that again. The beauty of a woman must be seen from in her eyes, because that is the doorway to the heart, the place where love resides. A beautiful, beautiful quote, and she certainly had an understanding of the importance of perception. And we talked about perception today and the importance of self-love. When we can really see ourselves through the eyes of self-love, then we're embracing conscious beauty. When we see ourselves through our judgment and our evaluation and our comparison to others, then we're seeing ourselves through the eyes of the ego mind personality, which needs to be sitting in the back of the bus, not driving the bus. So it's really about being able to make that shift to be the observer that is observing us in this human experience. And when we can really be that observer and know that we are causing this body to show up the way it does, and you know, according to the work of Bruce Lipton, our thoughts are actually informing the cells of our body. I mean, this is epigenetics. This is taking cellular biology and turning it over on its head. The idea that we can actually reinform the cells of our body by changing the way we think of ourselves. So if we could speak ourselves into creation every day as radiantly healthy and beautiful, beauty, as I say, from the inside out. And you know, when I'm getting myself ready for a show and I'm in the bathroom and I'm drying myself off after the shower or whatever, there's a part of me that wants to go right to that judgment and that comparison and that not good enough place. But I know better, and now I have these wonderful mantras that I have right at the tip of my tongue, and I'll share mine with you. I'm healed, whole, balanced, brilliant, beautiful, and abundant, period. That's what I say when I'm struggling. So I'm going to close the show with one more quote, and that is from Kenetia, and I'm going to repeat your beautiful quote. Yes. So, looking good takes a lot of effort, but beauty is simply a state of being. So let's all be in that state of beautiful. So before we close the show, I want to make a very special announcement, and I'm extremely excited about making this announcement. Because I have been wanting to interview this man for 17 years. Dr. Deepak Chopra is coming on our show at the end of March. So in April, you'll be able to tune in to TV Santa Barbara and check out the show. And so, until next time, we have one thing to say, and that is, get conscious now.
Welcome to State and Fig, located in historic La Arcada Plaza in downtown Santa Barbara.
Our menu focuses on products that are raised in the state of California, inspired by the flavors of the Riviera.
And we are proud to be sponsoring this program.
Hello, I'm Twyla Kim. I've been an artist and hairstylist in Santa Barbara for 20 years. I personalize color, design, and precision haircuts for each individual at Sequel Salon in Montecito. I'm happy to be sponsoring Get Conscious Now.
I'm attorney Gregory Lowe. I will prepare your trust, bankruptcy, divorce, conservatorship, probate, evictions. All of this I can do at an affordable price and with caring. Thank you very much.
When I was growing up as a kid, I used to go around with him and watch him.
My mother and I both worked at Lowry Field.
To keep on doing this together.